Hello, everyone, and welcome to the next chapter of From Nothing Tam's story. And we're going to jump ahead just a little bit. It is the next day, as you have woken up. And let me ask you, after everything that happened yesterday, are you going to go to breakfast?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Routine is what Tam lives by.
Perfect. You eating breakfast in the mess hall, you gain 4 temporary hit points.
Good.
And as you head to the Bard classroom, as always, it is busy and occupied by Noré, Yitran, and Tally. They are getting ready for today's lesson, except as you enter, Tally looks at you and says, "Tam, I have good news."
Yeah? Good news? I love good news. What's good news?
I knew you would. I have your first free agency.
Oh. I think I heard about this.
I'm
This is a job I do for free, right?
It is a job that you are taking and the Marigard has promised to do for free. Now, there might be a chance that you'll get paid. I can't speak for what the customer does. However, you have some work to do, and I'm going to break it down for you right now, as I don't recall. And she's like going through her coat to try and find something. Eventually, there's some rustling. It's kind of an awkward moment as Noré and Yithrun are looking at her and then at you. And she's, I swear. Got it. Okay. Okay, so you are going to investigate. And she's reading it and she says, I don't remember. Okay. You're to go to the Griffin's Bag? You've ever heard of that?
Nope. I don't think I've been there.
It's a magic shop down by the docks.
Okay.
Apparently, there are things. I don't understand the problem here. Oh, I should have read the whole thing. Expired components are being stolen, and at first it was just out of the garbage, so they didn't much care. But apparently they're getting braver. So you're to stop.
Like they broke into the shop?
I don't know. It's not. It doesn't say. And she shows up the paper, and it looks like there's just a few lines on it. And she says, "You're to go to Persh and see who it is that you can partner up with, or you could go by yourself, I suppose. But head down."
No, I like working in a group.
Okay, well, head down.
I'm gonna look over and kind of wink at Nora.
Noré is stone faced. Just
Yeah, of course.
nothing. She doesn't give you an inch of rope here. She says, okay, then head down to the Griffin's Bag and you're to talk to... And she's looking at the paper and she says, it doesn't say. The man in charge, I assume, or woman. I shouldn't assume. Just talk to Persh. He'll have the rest of the details, I'm sure.
Okay. I can talk to Pierce. And because it's kind of a tradition now for him at this point, I don't know what Yitram is doing, but he's going to tap his shoulder and give him like a friendly smile and give him also a little bit of guidance. Because literally every time he comes in there, he always does that.
Yitran looks at you and just, yeah, thank you, as always. Seems very pleased that you always do that. He likes this tradition, apparently.
One of 2 students likes me.
Hey, 1 out of 2 is almost passing. Okay, so you... Hold on a second here. I need to roll a thing. One moment.
Sure.
Okay. You have your assignment. Tally smiles at you and says, well, off you go.
Off I go.
And don't come back until you solve it. And you're gone.
Oh, are you recording?
Yes.
Hi.
Hi, Pen.
Here you go. Brief intermission.
Thank you for the gibberish on the recording now. I appreciate it. Hi. Thank you for the blizzard. Anyway, she's a huge dork. As you leave the room in a hurry, You head out to the main hall. Let me bring that up. And you see Persh at his desk, looking up at you as you head there with a quickness.
Much quickness. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's just like fully running in the halls.
Persh looks up. Right. Good morning, Tam.
Good morning, Persh. I have a free agency. I don't have a lot of details on it, though. Tally basically just said that I had to go to a place because they were stealing spell components.
Right.
The Griffin's bag, she said. The Griffin's bag.
One moment, let me pull up that job. And he does. He pulls out a large binder with and sets it, starts shuffling through the pages with just... right. Yes, we have a request from Glass Off the Candlestick. Must be a tabaxi. Right. Aye, you're to head down and investigate some recent thefts. Let me see who's available. Are you looking to work with a partner?
Yes, please.
Right. And he opens up, he looks at another sheet, and I'd like you to roll me a d8.
Oh. Nope, that's okay. Shoot, I'm bad at rolling in Foundry, I'm sorry.
No worries.
No, I can't figure out how to roll in Foundry. I'm always bad at it. Let me do it from...
If you mouse over the dice, they tell you what they are. At the bottom.
Oh, that is useful. I think you even told me that. But I've already rolled it from... Oh, it's an 8.
An 8?
Yep.
One moment.
It should show up here in a second. I don't know why it's not, because my rolls are definitely coming through from D&D Beyond.
It's alright. I've got it. There is a pause as Persh is looking at the ledger, and you see he just goes, and then he picks up a box with a blue stone on it. He lifts up the blue stone, and he says, Hey, I've got a free agency. Looks like... Right, send her down. And he puts the stone back on the box. And he says, You'll have some assistance here in a moment. And he puts the box away. He nods and says, Go ahead and just sit down and wait. Might be a moment.
Persh, I have a present for you.
Aye?
You're gonna take out a bottle of whiskey and kind of just set it down on the table.
He looks at it and at you. Tam.
So, somebody told me that you were here when they opened this place. And that's a long time to be doing a job like this. And I thought that that probably means that you've seen a lot of people come and go, and mostly go. And that's a hard job. So I felt like you should have something to make it less hard. A little small pleasure, you know? That's important.
Tam. Is this an attempt at a bribe?
No, it's a present.
He looks at the bottle. He picks it
I
up.
don't know what I would bribe you for.
He kind of plays with the melted copper that creates the seal at the top, and thank you, Tam. And he sets it in the desk.
I'll go over there and wait now.
He nods. Roll me an insight check.
Okay. Did I actually roll?
Yep, you rolled a 20.
Oh, hell yeah.
The dirty 20.
I didn't mean to roll that twice, sorry.
It's fine. As you are beginning to head back toward your desk, you see a hint of a smile creak up the corner of Persh's mouth.
Aww. He doesn't hate me. This is good.
well, we'll see. You sit down, and you wait. And you wait. And you wait. Until finally... I'm going based off your passive perception here. Until finally, next to you, you hear a feminine voice say, "Hey." And you glance over. There is a purple tiefling seated on the bench next to you. You can see what she looks like here. Yes.
Sam's gonna be so excited. Oh my god, so I'm a tiefling! You're a tiefling, I'm a tiefling! Oh my gosh! This is amazing! Hi, I'm Tam! Are you a rogue? You're really sneaky.
She is looking at you. She raises a hand in greeting. Nods.
Hi, I'm Tam. What's your name?
Skolna.
Galma. That's a great name. Well, hey, do you want to help me with this free agency where we go and figure out what's happening with that someone is stealing spell components?
She kind of tilts her head and shrugs.
Okay, great. We have to go to the Griffin's Bag. Do you know where that is? I don't know where that is. I just got here.
She nods.
Oh, great. Then I'll follow you then. Is that okay?
She nods again. And she stands up. She waves at Persh and walks out the doors.
Tam will follow.
Okay.
Continuing to chatter meaninglessly. I'm sorry, Skolma.
She doesn't talk much. And you head out into the city of Farum. So the Griffin's Bag is down by the docks, and specifically, it is this building, which I've pinged for you. It is quite a distance. It's quite a march. It's down by the Heather Garden gates. And you are still loading the map, so you'll see it in a minute. However,
I haven't been able to see the other maps because I'm playing on the computer, the Apple that has trouble with this. And if it's an issue, I can fire up the other computer.
Well, for now, it's okay. For now, just know it is quite a distance. It's all the way down here. And as you are making your way through the town, I'd like you to roll me a D100, as there is a chance of random encounter.
Ooh, sure will. /100, right?
Or you can click on the 2 dice block at the bottom.
I got it.
37. One moment. That doesn't make sense. Roll it again for me, please.
Oh, okay.
That just doesn't work here, unfortunately.
No, 57.
Okay. Okay. As you're making your way down the main stretch of Farum, you get to the markets, basically. Just short of reaching the docks, when there is a large just cluster, a block, if you will, between proceeding on to the rest of the docks and the market itself, where it is just a cluster of people. No one is able to move any farther, but it looks like they're not trying to. And you can see towering over everyone in the market here is a very tall, very beautiful woman with hair that starts red, but it changes color to green in flowing, almost gradients of color, and she is looking over everyone. She has her hands open. Roll me a religion check.
Ooh, interesting.
You are also lagging really badly, unfortunately. You may need to turn off your camera.
Okay.
22. You've heard of this. This is something that doesn't happen often, or at least they're pretty rare. But this is an avatar of Melisandre.
Ooh. Do you know, but
One moment. Go ahead and ask again. What'd you ask?
Are there any like religious rituals associated with the coming of one of these avatars? Like, would Tam know what to do with this?
Well, generally, an avatar of Melisandre provides a blessing to any who ask for it. And that's it. They don't require anything, and they'll grant a blessing to any and all. And it looks as though she is providing a blessing to everyone here.
Ow. Do I have any sense that we have to be there, like, immediately?
No.
The free agency? Okay. Well, in that case, like, Tam raised it clear, like, he's not going to turn down a blessing.
Okay.
And he's going to also, like, kind of look over. Is Skullna, like, still there? I know I passive perception is shit, but, like, is she still with me?
There, she is next to you. She's watching you.
Skullna, this is amazing. We should stop and get a blessing. It's not like we can go very far anyway.
Skullna just kind of looks at you, and after a long pause, just shrugs and nods.
Okay, great. Is there like a line, or is it seems like it's more like a clump?
It's a big clump of people.
I think, honestly, like, as much as Tam, like, knows that this is important, he was raised in such a way that he really respects the gods and, like, their time and other people's time. And so, honestly, I think that, like, he would maybe try to get a line going, like, maybe try to help the clump become a line. And
no one is listening to you.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
No one. You start talking to people, and everyone who talks to you is looking at the avatar, and they kind of glance at you and go, "Shut up!" Like, no one is cooperating.
That's fair. Can I get close enough to get the blessing?
Yes.
Is there like a radius for the blessing?
Well, with that high of a religion check, all you need to do is hear her.
Okay, yeah, I'll hang out and listen.
Okay. Roll me a perception check.
Oh, this will be great.
$18.
Oh shit! Sorry, I keep rolling twice.
It's fine. With an 18, you see the woman, this avatar, is towering. Must be 10 feet tall. Her hands are clasped in front of her, and she is beautiful. As you're paying attention, you see that her hair, while it is red to green, it is in intricate braids that reach they're super long. You don't know how long they are from here. You see that her chest is decorated with this very ornate symbol that you recognize as the symbol of Melisandre. A crest of feathers around a golden four-pointed star. And as she stands there, you realize that she's humming.
Is it a tune I recognize?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's a very cheerful but slow tune that is entirely in major. And it is very pretty. And then finally, once it seems like people have stopped gathering, she says, "Children of the New World here to listen. I thank you for everything you have brought and everything you will bring. Until we see again, I will remember all of you." And she bows. And as soon as she does, this wave of divine energy just seems to crash through everybody. And you are blessed.
Wow! Like the spell bless? Like I have a D4?
Like the spell bless. You have a D4 to add to things.
Rad. Hashtag blessed.
Hashtag blessed. As soon as that happens, you see the avatar reaches down and touches a couple people and then begins to walk. But as she's walking, you notice she becomes ethereal. She's passing through people, and then before she's moved 10 paces, she's vanished. And immediately the crowd is just erupting in conversation of excited remarks and what they just saw.
That was pretty great. Skullna, wasn't that pretty great?
She nods.
Incredible. I love it. A+. Cam is like determined to talk to people. It's just not happening for him.
It happens sometimes, I'm afraid.
Tam is just gonna excitedly chatter all the stuff that he knows about Melisandre. Melisandre. He's just gonna like excitedly chatter about Melisandre for like the entire rest of the way.
Okay.
And like he'll be trying to be perceptive to whether or not Skullna is like even listening or nodding and like looking desperately for any sort of sign, but also not. He's not gonna shut up.
Roll me a history check to see how much you know about Melisandre.
Ooh, fun. Let's see.
With a 3, you don't know a lot. You know that she's the goddess of like birth and new beginnings and redemption. I think you read the myth for Melisandre, so you know what she's about, but your character...
Tam, not so much.
Yeah, it's a good god, you know that.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's the encounter you rolled.
Fabulous. Blessed?
Yes. And you proceed onward until you're following Skullna, who leads the way down the long road past the South Docks, which are full of business. And as you're heading toward the Heather Garden Gate, you see on your left a sizable structure. It's a 2-story building with long, wide pane windows, and behind it you can see all sorts of equipment and trinkets and jars full of magical components, and you see in brass lettering that seems to twinkle in the light, the Griffin's Bag.
What a beautiful store. He's gonna go right in.
Okay. You march right on in. It is fairly busy, but as you do look around and enter, there is a number of people handling customers, and behind the counter is a tall, wizened, fairly old tabaxi who's looking at you.
Amazing.
And
I was told to look for tabaxi.
He says, as you enter, he says, "Welcome to the Griffin's Bag. How can I help you?"
Hi, is your name Glass Off the Candle?
Please, just Glass. And yes, that is me.
Glass. I'm Tam. I'm from the Maragard Academy. Skullna and I here are here to assist you with whatever it is that you need.
I see. You have answered promptly. This is good. What have you been told?
Not too much. He's gonna like lower his voice and kind of look around just in case, and be like, someone was stealing your spell components from your trash and then maybe from your store?
Is some of it, yes. When we perform enchantments for magical items, there are leftovers, some refuse. We would throw them away with no concern for what might happen with them. However, some of those components that have been thrown away, if they are used by someone who knows what they're doing, can be unstable. And so, a few days ago, we noticed they were missing, which is not so good.
You mean the components are unstable or the spells are unstable?
The components. And, should someone be using them for ill, that could be problematic. So I paid attention to the receptacles we use for garbage, noticed it happened again. And then, yesterday, we locked up the shop, and this morning, components from the back room were missing. And so we could no longer take chances. Decided to reach out to the Merigard before the guards and see what you could find.
Okay. Do you have? I think Telly told me that even when they were stolen from the back room, they were expired. Is that true?
Expired is not the best word. Used is the best word.
Wow. Do you think is all the components that are being lifted have been used already?
The ones from the back room were not. They were fresh and ready to be used.
Okay.
The sort of things that you would blend with. What do you know about enchanting?
Not too much. Well, I mean, like, some of my family does. My sister's real smart, but I don't really know very much.
Okay, it's simple, okay? You find the magical effect you wish to apply, whether it be a scroll or a spell you know, or a spell that you can learn. We use generally the proper language to inscribe, so celestial, draconic, infernal, these sorts of things. And then you create the runes you need and inscribe it with Banasite or Diamond Dust or whatever component it is that makes sense for the effect and the item. In this case, one of the reagents for inscribing Banasite has been taken, and it's a powerful acid, so we don't need anybody experimenting with it.
Okay. Do you have any guesses about what they might be using it for? I mean, if it's a reagent, maybe it can be used for anything.
I would guess it's a student or someone hoping to experiment and learn magic on their own without the cost of the academy. There's not many ways to learn magic on the cheap, you see.
Well, that's an enterprising person, but sounds like a dangerous situation.
It sure can be. If they blend these in the wrong way, they could go boom, and I don't want that to happen to anybody. Which is why I came to the Merigard first, and not just to the guards to have them arrested.
Yeah, I understand. I appreciate that you don't want them to be unfairly punished if all they want to do is learn. But we don't want anyone to explode anything. That sounds bad for all involved. Can I see your back room to see if there's any clues?
Yes, come on back. And he lifts up like a flat in the counter so you can do so. You notice Skolna is following you. She's looking around curiously, but she hasn't said anything.
That's so unlike her.
Mm-hmm.
He's gonna kind of like I think actually he'll watch Skolna because he's not totally sure what her skill set is yet, but has kind of gathered that he's not going to get a lot out of her. So I think he's just gonna try to see like what is she looking for, what is she noticing.
Roll investigation or perception.
Okay.
$11. Skolna Slick. Whatever it is she is looking for, she keeps her demeanor hard to read. She's very smooth. You see that as she is moving, she gently rests a hand on the desk, sliding her fingertips across it, puts her hand back behind her. It is hard to read, but what you get is Skolna is very talented at acquiring things that she shouldn't.
Okay. Okay.
You don't even see her steal anything, but you somehow feel like maybe she did.
Yeah. Like, did she take? Okay.
You have no idea.
Blink and you'll miss it. I'm like, no, she probably wouldn't. That's. She's nice. She probably wouldn't. Okay.
She also
So
looks completely unarmed. With an 11.
okay, that's interesting. Tim, I mean, I don't know if Tim's super concerned. I don't think like he's not really thinking like there's a whole lot of danger around, even though he knows he should know better.
Yeah.
He's such an optimist that I don't think he actually like he should know better, but he's like choosing not to know better.
Sure. He's being an optimist right now. He's
Mm-hmm.
nothing bad's gonna happen here. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's gonna be fine.
Anyway, you are led into the back room, where you are looking at an enchanter's room. There is a long workbench that is well over 20 feet long. It covers an entire wall of this back area. And along this workbench are these what look like templates or these circles that are pressed into the wood, and they look like they're burned there. And each circle has all sorts of arcane runes infused into the wood, and they lightly give off faint blue light. There's what must be 10 of them along this workbench. Some of them are occupied by objects, things that are being enchanted or things that people were working on before they were called away. You see that one has a suit of what looks like leather armor. You see another one has a book that is open, that sigils and runes are being inscribed into. Another looks as though there are just a pile of rings next to the symbol, and there's one in the middle of the symbol, as if they're doing something in bulk. Aside from this long workbench covered in things, you see that there are racks and shelves of objects. Really high quality objects. You get the feeling that there's a lot of money back here, just in the inventory that's preparing to be enchanted. And then beside that, you see another enormous shelf loaded with scrolls and books. It's impressive. And as Glass brings you back here, and he's looking around, he says, This is our work quarters. This is where all the magic happens." Oh, I hate that pun.
Real, actual, true magic. Wow.
Yes.
Everything glows. Yeah.
So, do you have any idea how to find our culprit?
Well, can you show me where the things were stolen from? Where do you keep your materials?
Yes,
And
yes.
what kinds of I imagine you have some enchantments or something to keep people away from them?
We do have alarm. We do have an alarm arranged so that anyone we do not know would set off alarms. Other than that, the doors are locked, the windows are sealed, but the alarms were not set off this morning, which is the concern. And he goes toward the far side of the room, where you see there is a door. It is a pretty solid-looking wooden door with metal reinforcement. He turns the lock on it, opens the door, and you are looking out into what is more or less a back alley. And there are crates and barrels out here, containing supplies that are not so important. You see what looks like a crate that the top is loose, and you look inside it, it is full of just rolled up bolts of linen. You see another barrel is full of what can only be described as garbage, refuse. Old scraps of wood and metal and bits of oilcloth that have been completely soiled and are thrown away. And he says, "This is where most of the reagents go after they're used, before they are tended to and disposed of properly."
Okay. And so this is what they were stealing from before, but then they actually came into the store.
Yes.
The factory.
Yes.
Okay. You said the alarm wasn't set off?
Correct. Which means they either knew about it and avoided it, or it was someone the alarm wouldn't have been triggered by.
So someone that works here already.
Yes. But I've already done a thorough investigation into my employees. I do not believe it was any of them. I could be wrong. You could talk to them yourself, but I am not convinced. I am not convinced they did it.
How would someone know that the alarm was there already?
If you have, as I said, if you're a practicing magician, you would be able to detect it with any detect magic spell. Also, if you knew what to look for, if you were a skilled infiltrator, you would be able to find the thread that makes the base of the alarm spell, and you could avoid it that way.
Okay. So this is a person that knew what they were doing.
Yes.
But it seems like they didn't want to really hurt much. They were taking their refuse first.
Correct. Which is why, I am not looking to kill anyone or hurt anyone. I want to get them to maybe be careful, and if they want my refuse, I don't mind giving it to them so long as I know what they're doing with it,
Okay. Let me just poke around a little bit and see what I can find, and then maybe I'll want to ask some people a few questions.
Okay. I will be back at the counter, as I'm sure there are customers waiting.
Okay. Thanks, class.
Thank you. And he goes back inside, and you are left outside in the alley behind the Griffin's bag. We need the proper investigation music.
I'm going to look at Skulna and say, all right, I'll be straight with you. I'm better at talking to people than I am at finding things. But do you have any ideas before we start looking around?
She nods.
Skulna, can you tell me the ideas, please?
She looks around at the windows that are back here, at the door, and she says, "This should be an easy place to rob. It's quiet, off the street."
Yeah, I'm getting that. Well, that's what I'm thinking, right? If it's an easy place to rob, outright, and what they want is good materials, then why would they have gone for the trash first?
She shrugs and says, "Easy pickings, safe, not technically illegal."
Not technically illegal. But now they're breaking in. I don't know as much about the city, so I'm not totally sure where to start. Well, let's look around and see if we can get any hints about who to ask next.
She shrugs.
Okay. I'm gonna look around the alley to see if there's any, hint of anything
Roll investigation.
that might point in a direction.
Yeah, roll investigation.
Yeah, cool. Great. I don't know how this is gonna go.
Really poorly.
Yep. Checks out. Oh, I get to add a D4, but
You do get to add a D4. It won't make a difference.
It won't make a difference.
As you're looking around, you see an alley. You see that there are a number of businesses in this alley where you are facing their backs. A couple of them look as though they are businesses and homes. It is not... I'm sorry, hold on, my music just broke. Okay. It is not really revealing to you that there is anything worth looking for around here in this alley. It is kind of hard-pressed dirt on the ground. Aside from the barrels that are immediately of the business that you've just left, you don't see anybody. With a 4, you learn nothing.
I learned nothing. That's fair. That's fair. Okay. Let's see. I think he's gonna kind of walk around the alley, lift some stuff up with Mage Hand, put it back down again. Doesn't quite know exactly, he's like, alright, so this is a component that can be used in a lot of different things. I think...
You lift up things with Mage Hand?
Yeah, I have mage hand.
Okay,
So
roll
it's like-
roll me another investigation.
Okay.
As you're looking under things.
Yes.
Don't forget to add a D4 here, because that might actually find something.
A little better.
12. With a 12, you lift up what looks like a... Sorry. You lift up what looks like a flour bag. What might be used in a bakery, but it is empty. And as you lift it up, you see that there is... it looks like weather or rainfall has torn away or weathered away at the corner of one of the structures. The business that is opposite the back of the Griffin's Bag. And the corner of the building, it is an opening where you can just see darkness down there.
Okay.
It's pretty small. You don't think you could fit there.
Okay, but can I like crouch down near the hole and look inside? And the flour sack is right near there. Right?
Yes. It was covering it.
Does it have any sort of markings on it or anything? Does it say a name of business or anything?
The flour sack?
Yeah.
It has import marks from somewhere else.
From somewhere else. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a little... He's gonna kind of like look at this little opening. Can I get my hand into it?
Do you have dark vision?
I do. I'm a tiefling, so I do.
Okay, you look down into the opening, and your dark vision reveals to you that you can see clear through underneath this building. You see there are some spider webs, you see that there's some debris and refuse, and you can see an opening on the far side of the building that more light is coming into. It's an opening about the same size as this one.
So I couldn't wiggle my way down there either.
You don't think so. You think you're too big, but you think a small creature probably could.
Something little tiny. Okay, that's promising. I'm just for...
When you stand up, Skolna's right next to you, and she says, "What'd you find?"
Well, there's a little opening down here, and I think someone might have wiggled in and out of it.
She nods.
But I'm too big to fit down there. So I'm not totally sure how we can investigate further. But maybe they wouldn't have left behind anything, right? We could look on the other side of the building. They could be anywhere, these people. I just know that they're little.
Skolna shrugs. Because of course she does.
Of course he does. Of
Yeah.
course he does. Thank you for your help, Paula. That was me talking and not Cam. So
Okay.
I would not be rude like I am.
Yeah. Skolna's,
But so I'm clear, this is an opening that's going into the Griffin, into the store, or out, or
No. It is the building opposite from the Griffin's Bag. And the opening looks like it just opens up into the crawl space beneath that building, and you can see that there is light on the other side, so they likely could crawl underneath that building.
The building under the opposite building they could crawl underneath.
Yes.
Okay. I'm gonna go around and just check out what does that building look like. Is it a business? What is it?
Okay, you go and look. It is a shoe store. It is a cobbler. It is just called High Souls.
High Soul. Okay. All right. I'll look on kind of like the other side of the building, like the other side of the crawl space.
Now, you can ask Skolna to do things, and she will help you.
Okay.
She's not just there to be silent commentary. You can use her as a rogue.
Oh, that's fair. That's fair. Okay, well then I'm gonna ask if she'll help me, or if I can help her. Let's put it that way. She probably was higher. She's probably better at this than I am.
Yeah, you can ask her to do it.
Can I help her kind of investigate if there's anything around there that we should be check me out?
She nods and she begins looking around. So
Okay.
go ahead and roll me a d20 and roll me 2d20. We'll take the higher the result and I'll add Skolna's investigation to it.
Okie doke. 2d20. And she's blessed, right?
She is blessed.
2d4 also.
Okay, so that's an 18 plus 2 is, and that is dirty 20 plus her bonus. So that's a 25. Skolna scouts. You watch as she crouches down, her fingertips near the soil, the hard-pressed dirt at the base of the building near the high soul structure. Her fingers kind of run through the soil, and you can see that she's tracing what looks like Scrabble marks. And then she reaches into the dirt and she picks up something very small and very round, and she holds it up to you. It is flat. It is flat with a spade-like shape to it. Roll me a nature check.
Nature check. Oh, this is interesting.
With a 4, you don't know what it is. But Skolna looks at you. With a 6, you still don't know what it is. With a small smirk, she looks at you and she says, "Kobold scale."
Oh, those are little.
She nods.
Kobolds are little. Okay, so we're looking for a magical kobold. Or is it a certain color? Right? Do you have any idea what kind of color?
It's reddish brown, which is kind of what every kobold is.
No, okay,
It's rare to find a kobold that is not reddish brown.
okay.
Kind of a
Reddish
rust
brown-
color.
Reddish brown kobold. All right. Okay. Thanks, Skolna. That was really sharp eyes. I don't see any of that. My eyes are not too different from yours, really, except for they're really different because you're better at this than I am.
Skolna kind of tilts her head and shrugs.
He'll go back, kind of circle back around to the original building, and I think we should take this to Glass. Maybe he'll know if he's seen a kobold around.
Skolna nods and hands you the scale.
Okay. So they go back inside.
Okay, you head back into the magic shop. You see that Glass is handling a customer. When he sees you come back in, he holds up a finger to you, and then he finishes the transaction that is currently happening.
He'll look around. Like Tam if he has a minute, he's just gonna like look around the store, like,
Sure.
wide-eyed.
Does your attention happen to land on anything, do you think?
Okay, I think he would be looking for, I think he might be looking for things that his sister would like, because I'm imagining that his sister is way smarter than he is, and like kind of more like has kind of more of a wizard-ish cleric bent to her. And he would be looking for anything that is like maybe like anything that would be like a horn decoration, or like kind of something that would smell nice, fine ink and paper, stuff like that. Probably not exactly that kind of shop, but anything along those lines.
Okay. Roll me a D100.
Okay. That's low, probably. That's it.
All right. An 11. As you're like kind of wandering through the many, many aisles, and you're looking for things that, as you've described, you find yourself in an aisle full of vials, glass vials. Roll me another D100.
Okay. $32.
you find yourself staring at a very wide and stout stoppered vial. It is filled with this completely crystal clear fluid, and floating in it appears to be a green, glowing eye that darts left and right. There is a small label that when you get closer and look, it says it is the eye of a lich.
Ooh. That's interesting. Flo would probably love that. I have a lich. Oh, it's like a spell component.
It's a spell component. Yeah.
Whoa.
You don't know what spell for, but...
Probably nothing good. Still fascinating. Does it have like a price tag on it or anything?
Yes, 20 gold.
Oh my gosh, that's so expensive. He just spent all his money on a gift for a person he barely knows.
Yes.
Okay. Would it be plausible for him to kind of remember where this thing is if he puts it back down?
Yeah.
Okay. He will put it back down for now and kind of like look at it and like nod thoughtfully, and then go see if glass is available again.
Yes, he is. As he finishes with the customer, you see that he is kind of watching Skolna the way that an attentive shopkeeper would someone that they suspect will try and take something. That's what he's doing when you're done. And as you are heading toward him, you are suddenly stopped by a short, half-elven woman who has a seal on her lapel that is simply a shape of a bag across a griffin's back. And she says, "Hello, can I help you?"
Hi. I'm Tam. I'm here from the academy. And we found, well, my compatriot over there found this little scale around the corner. We think that maybe the person that's been breaking in is a kobold. Have you maybe seen any of those around?
She looks at the scale, if you're holding it out, and up at you, and she... I mean, I've seen kobolds around. They're not uncommon. And she looks like she's thinking, like trying to remember something.
Any that like to hang out in that alley back there?
No? None that I know of.
Okay. Is there a place in town that a lot of kobolds congregate?
You see she thinks about it, and she kind of taps on her chin a couple times. I'm going to roll something for her. Well... Are you new in town?
I am. I've only been here a couple of days.
Right. Well... On the west side of town, by the Rain Road, there's the Loggin District, and, I guess you might say there's the... I don't know how to say it. She looks around and she says she is looking for one of the other people who works here. And she turns and says, "Hey, what's that old chapel on the north side called?" And this other employee, this one a human, looks around the shelf and says, "Maud, it's the Bitterbluff." "Okay, the Bitterbluff Chapel. Sorry, I couldn't remember." And she turns to you and says, "The Bitterbluff Chapel. It's kind of an old, run-down building. There's rumor there's kobolds around there."
Okay. Those spell components that were taken. It was Banasite, right?
No. I thought it was all old acids and...
Oh, acids. Okay. Anything... It was all acid. Is there any... Do I have any knowledge of, like, acid being used in divine casting at all?
No. Not at all.
Interesting.
This doesn't... Okay, so... Roll me a nature check. So, though there are kobolds that might visit the Bitterbluff Chapel, you wouldn't use acid for anything divine.
Okay.
You don't think that this quite ties in.
Okay. But they're there, and it's run down. Is it on, like, a... I don't know the city very well yet. Is that, like, in a part of town that maybe doesn't have a lot?
It's the logging district. It's, it's full of... it's got the sawmill. It's got the carpenters. The artisan's alley. It's not poor by any means. It's just you don't really live there.
Okay. It's a place where people go to, like, go to work.
Hey, it's where they build. That's where the Cardcrafts dry dock generally takes its lumber from. It's really not a place where you live, which is why I think the kobolds like it there, is because there's nobody there at night.
I see. I wonder what they would need acid for. I guess we'll find out. Thanks, this is really helpful. We're gonna go and check it out.
Okay. So you don't... Okay. And the employee seems confused.
What? Do you think there's more advice that we should have before we go check it out?
I don't know. I just work here, and this is the first I've heard of it.
Well, this is only my second or third day in town, so I'm just gonna learn by doing, I think. But we'll be back.
Okay. And as you're leaving, the employee looks at the Mayhuman and says, "Who's we?" And Skolna follows you out.
It's a ghost.
You get the impression these people had no idea what you were talking about.
Okay, that's fair.
As you are heading across Ferrum, you are investigating the Rain Road, the logging district, where this chapel might be. Correct?
Yes.
Okay. Once again, this is quite a stretch, so there will be chance for a random encounter. I need you to roll me another D100.
Even 30.
30. Okay. As you are walking, the road that you're on seems to kind of grow a little bit deserted as you're heading toward the Rain Road. And the sounds of what was the coast and the ships coming in to dock and the sounds of sailors and vendors going about their business, they seem to vanish, and instead they are replaced with the sounds of wood being worked, of logs being quartered, and of carpenters going about their business and the making of joints, etc., etc. And as you're going along your way, your eye is caught by a young woman who's wearing different clothes from anyone you've seen in Ferrum so far. She's wearing a long, very dark dress that has lace in white. It's ornate and almost rich looking, except for the dress itself is dirty, as if she's worn it for a long time. The girl herself looks maybe 14. And you see that she is seated on the stoop of a building, and she is drawing in the soil that is on the side of the cobbled road. And as you and Skolna are walking by, she looks up and she smiles and waves at you.
Sam will wave back. Can you get close enough to see what she's drawing?
It looks like a map.
What of? The town?
Yeah, you could. It's a rough approximation of Ferrum.
Oh, amazing. Tam is gonna squat down and study it, look at it.
Yeah, it looks like Ferrum. It's pretty accurately drawn, too. The little girl keeps working on it even as you're looking. She has a very fine pointed stick that she's scratching it into the soil with.
You're a real good artist. A cartographer, even.
She's looking at you as you're talking, and she frowns and she shakes her head.
You're not a cartographer?
She shakes her head again, and then she stops drawing for a second and writes next to her map a single word: deaf.
Oh. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna use minor illusion to say the same thing that I said, like have a beautiful little it's like a quill. The handwriting for his minor illusion is way better than his actual handwriting, but it's like a quill that is in golden ink that just sort of like writes out the letters in the air.
Okay.
As his minor illusion is.
She's when she reads it, she smiles but shakes her head. She says, she writes down that her name is Calliope.
He'll say, "I'm Tam," and in his head he's thinking, "I know a song about a Calliope, but I can't play it for you."
Do you write that down?
Yeah, I think he will. But then, actually, he's gonna like kind of look like he's gonna put a hand on her shoulder and kind of make a little gesture, like, "Is that okay? Can I touch you?"
She shrugs, and then nods.
He's gonna put a hand on her shoulder and hum and use thaumaturgy to kind of like make the hum resonate through her body.
Okay, so she feels the vibration. I think when she realizes what you're doing and she can feel it, she would smile. How long is the song?
It's like I mean it's really a fiddle tune, but he'll hum it and it's like 2 minutes.
Okay. When you finish, why don't you roll me performance to see how well you do?
Okay.
You're still blessed.
Oh yeah, I'm still blessed.
Roll a d4.
Only one. 12.
12. The song is pleasant enough, and you get most of the notes across using thaumaturgy. When you finish, she smiles, and she writes, "Thank you." Then, she makes sure you're looking, as on the map, she makes a small X.
Okay.
Which, on the city map, is vaguely about here.
Oh, I still can't see it. I'm sorry.
Oh, let me see if I can pull you here again. It's vaguely about here.
Vaguely about here. Okay. What is around there? Describe it for me, because it looks like a blank screen to me.
You still...
Is it near the temple?
No, not at all. It's off the main stretch, off the main road in Ferrum. It's fairly near East Park, which is kind of near the main entrance that you came through, near the chapel district. You make a note of where it is that she's marked.
I'll make a note, and I'll make a little minor illusion of my own map and put an X there. And then I'm gonna write to her with my little minor illusion writing and say, everyone deserves music.
She smiles, and she kind of bows. And then you watch as she goes into the building and closes the door.
Gonna look at Skolna and say, I don't know what that X was, but we should go check that out after we go to the chapel.
Skolna nods, and then she says, I liked her.
Tam's ears are gonna droop a little bit. He'll say, yeah, me too. He'll be quiet for once as they go toward the chapel.
Okay. It's very funny that you're getting paired with people who would prefer quiet. You continue on the way to find the Bitterleaf Chapel. Okay. Or Bitter Bluff, sorry. You head that way. You head into the Rain Road area. It is busy, and I need you to roll me an investigation. Or you can try and...
Can I assist Skolna to do that instead?
Yes, roll me 2d20.
Fabulous. Ooh, 29 plus less. 32 plus whatever your modifier is.
Okay, slow your roll. It's 19 plus your d4, which is a 3.
No, that was the... I'm sorry. Oops. I rolled 2 at a time, sorry.
It's okay. The total is 27. Skolna is very adept at moving through an urban environment. You watch as she very quickly seems to identify exactly where this structure is. Which is odd, because it's not like a whole structure. It seems as though it is more like a hovel or a stone building that once was very tall, but all that's left of it is the basement. You see this kind of stone slab that has all sorts of carts and barrels and crates set atop it. And Skolna spots a tiny placard that has... She points it out because it's written in thieves' cant. It says Bitter Bluff. She says, there's the place.
What? How do you know? That looks like scratches to me.
She looks at you.
Okay, I trust you.
She looks down at what is basically a staircase going down into the earth. And looks back up at you again.
Do you think we need like a password or something to get in? Or...
She shrugs. She kind of glances around and says, it'd be good to know somebody. Or wait until night.
Wait until night?
Kobolds.
Okay. Oh, right. Yeah, okay. Yeah, we can do that. Should we maybe like hide and see if one of them comes out and tries to hit the shop again?
She shrugs and then nods.
Okay, let's do that.
Skolna looks at you and then looks around. And you see that she makes a quick summation of the area. And then she gestures for you to follow her.
Okay, go follow her.
Skolna quickly secures what looks like an old piece of burlap or tarp from one of the crates near a sawmill. And as such, she pulls it over by the barrels that create the upper level of this basement, that is currently being occupied by kobolds. And she pulls that burlap down and over the crates, making a very secure-looking hiding place that does not look obvious from the outside. And she gestures for you to get in.
So glad that she's here. Tam would be lost without this person.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, he will do so.
Okay, roll me a stealth at advantage.
We don't even have proficiency in stealth. Better than my investigation though. And a bless. Thank goodness for the bless.
Skolna rolled a 28. Okay.
Of course you did.
With a 21, you feel secure and hidden. Skolna's hiding place seems extremely well thought out. As from where you are hiding, you can clearly see when someone or something climbs those stairs, but they would not be able to see you. They would have to be looking for onlookers to notice this hiding spot. And you're waiting until the suns go down to... You're basically staking this out?
I guess we are. So how many hours would that be?
About 7.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Okay. Do we have is there any chance we bring? I guess I didn't do it, so probably not. We have travel snacks or anything like that.
You have pack rations that the Mirror provides.
So we're not.
You're not going to starve, but you are staking out for an evening, which is not great.
Okay. I'm gonna look over it. I have gathered by now, even Tam, with his dumbassery, has figured out that she doesn't really want to talk. She doesn't like talking. And so he's going to take his little dice, with his little horseshoe dice, out of his pocket, and look at her and say, "You want to play dice?"
She shrugs and nods.
So, I mean, it's not a lot to do, but they can play some dice.
Okay. You play dice. You kind of try and whittle away the hours by playing dice with Skolna. And Skolna doesn't talk, but she does react physically when she wins or loses. She acts with enthusiasm and pumps her fist when she wins, or scowls and frowns and folds her arms when she loses. She emotes. She just doesn't talk much.
Fair.
Unless she has to.
I know what I'll do. I will ask her after we play dice for a while. Say, "Hey, I know you don't like it so much when I talk, but I could tell you a story."
She shrugs.
Is it a neutral shrug? Is there anything in that shrug that indicates to me that that's fine?
The shrug occurred immediately after you said you don't like it when I talk. You can read into that how you like.
Oh, okay. I think Tam can't just shut up for 7 hours. That's not good.
Okay.
So I think he will tell her a story.
You tell her a story. What story do you tell her?
He's gonna tell her the story of the cruel sister. And so he'll make it. I mean, he's a bard. He knows how to make this an elaborate story, but quiet though, because they're staking out. And this is a story of 2 sisters in kind of a kingdom far away somewhere, that they're maybe they're not like queens necessarily, but noble women. And one of them has jet black hair, and one of them has blonde hair, and they are inseparable as children. But then there's a noble that comes onto the scene, and he's supposed to be courting the one with black hair, but he falls deeply in love with the one with blonde hair. And for the first time, the black-haired woman, the black-haired sister, becomes deeply, deeply jealous and heartbroken. And he really goes into detail about the courtship of these 2 people, and it's kind of unclear whether or not it's the man's fault for kind of leading both of them on. But he's clearly very much in love with the blonde-haired sister, and he's probably going to propose to marry her, even though he and the black-haired one had a good relationship. And so they used to walk by this is maybe in Triton, perhaps, I don't know. They used to walk by the water as kids, and so they do so kind of as like the black-haired sister is like, well, you could walk by the water like we did when we were children, and they sing songs together and they have a good day. And at the end of the day, the black-haired sister pushes the blonde one into the water and watches her drown, and has like conflicted feelings about it, but absolutely does watch her drown. And so it seems like she's gonna have she's gonna get the guy, except that a pair of bards on a distant shore, like on another island, find a breastbone that is this beautiful, like larger than normal breastbone, and they find some hair, and they make a heart out of this dead woman's hair and breastbone, and it sings so sweetly that they are called to perform for these nobles. And when they perform for the nobles, all the only song that the harp plays is the song of how this one sister murdered the other. And so the black-haired sister is in trouble.
Skolno listens to the story. She roll me an insight check. She looks troubled.
Am I blessed? Do I get blessed?
You do get your D4, but you see it as you beat her attempt to cover it up.
She looks troubled.
She looks troubled. As if you strung a note, or maybe you reminded her of something.
Oh. Are you okay?
Quietly, she's watching the steps. But after a pause, you see her wipe her eye.
You have a sister too?
She shook her head. You can see that she takes like a breath. I came here to run away.
Me too.
She kind of glances over at you. You can see that the melancholy, the watering of eye hasn't stopped. She wipes her eyes again. Why'd you leave?
My dad wants me to do something I'm not. I'm kind of the cruel sister in my story.
Skolner tilts her head, looking at you, and looks down at the ground. And she shakes her head.
No, I didn't down anyone, but my she's counting on me to come back as a cleric. I'm not doing that.
She looks back up at you. Her brow furrowed. After a long pause, as she can't seem to figure out how else to say it, she just says, "Why does it matter?"
I'm supposed to. She can't be with the person she loves if I don't do this for her. And I'm being selfish.
Skolna shakes her head.
You don't think I'm being selfish.
She shakes her head again.
Well, that's real sweet. I'm sorry you got stuff to run from. Figured you don't want to talk about it, but if you ever want to hear some stories, I'll tell them.
Skolna frowns. She's looking at you. With that insight, you kind of tell it looks like she wants to say something, but she doesn't feel like she can. As if she's holding on to it in her mouth.
For once in his life, Tam shuts up.
I'm going to roll to see if she tells you something. She lets out a sigh, kind of with a finger pushes over the dice. And then, produced as if from nowhere, her hand is open and she's looking down at it, and there is a copper coin in the middle of her hand. You see that... No, it looks like any other copper coin, except that engraved into the metal is the shape of a mask. She's looking at it. Roll me a history check.
Please. My +1 in history for a bard. Oh, bless. 17.
17. You're from KO, correct?
I'm from KO.
With a 17, a word kind of flits up into your memory that this coin invokes. You don't know much about it. It's kind of the boogeyman behind when people hear about a crime or a murder or a smuggling operation, or you hear news of something done illegally that the guards are struggling with. People blame the copper mask. As Skolna's looking at it, she closes her hand. She kind of taps her fist against her head, and then her hand drops. The coin is not there.
I'm just going to put a hand on her shoulder and say, "Hell of a thing to be running from. I'm glad you're here."
There's a long... Skolna lets out a sigh. Glances up at you. Thanks.
You really did. I wouldn't have gotten anywhere near this far without you.
I know.
Yeah, I know you know.
Like you said, you're good with people.
Not the only thing I'm good at. But, it's something.
It is at this moment that you and Skolna's attention suddenly glances up at motion, and you see that emerging from the steps is a kobold. It is dark as the suns have set. This kobold is emerging from the stairs. You see that he's kind of stretching his back. He is clearly a male kobold. And as he emerges, he kind of scratches at one of his long teeth with a talon. He kind of looks around, pulls out what looks like a walking stick or a cane, but it doesn't look like that old of a kobold. Except he kind of waves the walking stick, and you recognize prestidigitation, the cantrip. Immediately, there is the smell of what smells like roast steak, roast meat. Something smells delicious, and the kobold just It'll be a fine evening. And he begins to walk away from the steps. And Skolna glances at you.
Gotta follow?
She nods.
Okay. Then you gotta follow.
Roll stealth.
Awesome.
You
Fabulous.
you do not get advantage.
I knew I should have taken invisibility. I didn't do it. It would only last me a minute anyway.
It's true.
It's not terrible. That's not terrible. I'm adding my bless.
Man, that bless.
14.
14, and Skolna's is infinity. It's like it's 26.
37.
So Skolna, you don't even know where she went.
Yeah.
You are doing your best to try and make yourself look like you blend in, but you're walking on a almost deserted street while it's dark out, and this kobold is strolling. He's heading down this main road toward the market, and I'm going to give you a skill challenge here as you're following this kobold. Okay, the first challenge comes as the kobold suddenly stops in front of a vendor stall who is selling what looks like small baked goods, little tartlets and pastries and such. And you hear the kobold say, "Have you got anything with some meat?" And the vendor begins to, I'm sure I've got something. And he begins to sort through his little boxes. But the instant that the kobold has stopped, his peripheral, his head, you know that if he glances your way, he knows you're there. So, what do you do?
What do I do? Because I'm gonna use. Like what is around me? There's this. The guy is.
Well, let me describe the environment.
Yeah, the guy's rooting around. Let's see. He's going to use thaumaturgy. To. I can make a window fly open or slam shut. I know. I guess this is a cart, so that doesn't apply.
Yeah.
But I can make a sound. I can make a sound happen. So I'm gonna make like a little crash, kind of in the opposite direction of me, to kind of catch his attention.
Okay, roll me like a spell casting check. So roll me a spell attack, basically. 20. Okay, so you create the desired effect, and the kobold quickly turns his head in the direction of the crashing sound and says, "Hey, what was that?" And you have bought yourself a moment. What do you do?
Sneak on by.
Okay.
Where he's not looking.
All right. Roll stealth with advantage. A 16. 19. Okay. The distraction seemed effective enough, and the kobold purchases a pastry, what seems like a beef tart, without problem, and then he continues on down the road, chewing on the pastry. Roll me a perception check, please. 19. Okay, you're heading down the main market street. You're now in like the main market area of Farum. And as you're walking, this kobold seems as though he is just enjoying the pace at which he's walking. He's in no hurry. You know Skolna's around here somewhere, but you're not sure where, as she is basically invisible. You're making your way around, trying to hide yourself behind vendor carts, when suddenly you see, heading in your direction, Norre. And Norre sees you. What do you do?
I'm going to double check this here a second. Yes. Okay. minor illusion is somatic and material. I'm going
Uh-huh.
to use minor illusion to make my little like writing, my little writing between my hands, and I'm gonna say, I'm gonna like shake my head and be like, other way, go the other way.
Okay. I'm going to roll an insight check for Norre, and I'd like you to roll me another spell attack. "23. You get the point across, and Norre like looks at you like concerned, and she raises an eyebrow, like, okay, whatever, and just seems to go another direction.
God,
But that was a
nothing in
success.
the world will ever make her like me ever.
You continue in your follow of the kobold. That's kind of funny to me. I'm sorry.
It's very funny.
You resume following the kobold down the street. As he's making his way, you see he takes a left, kind of in the direction of East Park, until he has made his way between buildings. You're following him into an alley. And lastly, and finally, you see him step into a tent. It's built up behind several buildings. The tent is made of what looks like old leathers and old canvas bags that have been cut and stitched together. And as he enters the tent, you hear him say, "Ah!" And then you just hear the sounds of what sounds like scratching on parchment. And before you know it, Skolna is next to you, and she says, which is how you know she's next to you, she says, "Seems right to me."
Seems like the guy.
She nods.
Okay. He's in a tent. I imagine there's not like windows or anything.
No, it's not a windowed tent, unfortunately.
Okay.
You have to get those from Costco.
Fantasy Costco.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say, okay, you're better at being sneaky than I am.
She
Do
nods.
you want to go and see? Yeah. Do you want to go and see if you can tell what he's doing? I can help you out a little bit.
She tilts her head, shrugs, and nods again.
I'm gonna give her some guidance and some bardic.
Okay, roll me a d20 for her stealth. Okay, roll me the bless. $16.
I did a d4 for guidance, and she has the bardic. She can use it in her
So
mouth.
she rolled a 25 on stealth. I also need an investigation from her. So roll that. Roll me a d20, please.
Shit.
Uh,
She's blessed, and she is bardic.
She can use bardic here.
I mean, 10 is better than 5, and whatever her investigation is.
Plus 5. So that's a 15.
15. That's pretty okay. That's pretty good.
She sneaks over, and you have to like watch her to not lose track of her, as the dark purple of her skin and the dark jet, almost dark black blue leathers that she wears almost blend into the shadow, and she creeps along this packed earth alley up to the tent. And very deftly, she doesn't open the tent with a finger. Instead, she draws what looks like the hook from a lockpicking kit and very slightly moves the tent flap open enough to look inside. She looks for a solid minute. Finally, she creeps back, and she tries to think of a way to convey this without speaking, but finally she just shrugs and says, "Magic shit."
Okay. Does it look like the components that are stolen?
She shrugs.
Nah, shit. So probably. Okay. What could you want with them? I wonder. Okay. So he's in there. Did you see him doing anything in particular?
She like opens her eyes wider and she says, "Magic shit. I don't know."
He's casting a spell?
She holds her hands up and shrugs.
I'm sorry, Skolna. Okay.
Alright, Skolna is not proficient in Arcana.
That's fair.
She does not know what the fuck is happening in there.
Doesn't know what the fuck is happening. Alright. I'm gonna sneak over there myself. I'm gonna give myself some guidance.
Okay, roll stealth.
To do it. So I got bless and guidance. Oh, that was a d4 before I rolled a d20. No, God, no. Sorry, that's just a random d20. Let me actually roll my stealth. So used to rolling for her now.
So a 13 on stealth.
13 is stealth. I have bless though. I have bless also.
So a 16 on stealth. Okay. I'm rolling perception for the kobold. Alright. You approach the tent. Are you proficient in Arcana?
I am.
Okay. When you look inside, I need you to roll me a perception check. The first thing you see when you look inside is there is a small table set up where you see that there are all sorts of these oilcloths and rags that are pressed onto the table, and you can see that they are being, well, you don't really know exactly what is happening to them, but they are being pressed between stones. The next thing you see is this kobold is next to the table, and he has a stool set up that he has set up a what looks like maybe a small flame that is heating a vial. Next to that, you see there is a book that is open, and the kobold is quietly just humming to himself.
Okay. So he's doing magic shit.
You can roll an Arcana check.
Can I guidance myself for this Arcana check?
How would you do that?
Little prayer.
Okay. You have bless as well.
Magos, actually, probably, for this one.
Okay. So, a 13. It looks like he's trying to distill old acid.
This is definitely the guy. Do I have any sense at all what is he like trying to cure the leather with it, the oilcloth?
You have no idea, I will say.
I don't know. Okay, that's fair.
With a 13 and you don't know what book he's looking at and you can't really see what's on the table behind him, you don't know.
That's fair. Okay. All right. I am going to back up a little bit, and I'm going to check the spell. Yeah, I'm going to back up a little bit. And I'm going to cast Silent Image.
Okay.
And I'm going to make it seem as though, because I don't know if this person means me ill. So I'm gonna make it seem as though I am coming in to the tent, looking real gentle, hands up. And I'm not so far away, so I'm gonna kind of like say my own voice through the silent image as its lips move. I'm gonna say, "Hey."
Okay.
I know.
What's your spell DC?
14, I think.
Okay.
Yep. 14.
The kobold, as you say that, suddenly he goes, "Ah! Oh!" And like he was holding a pair of tongs in one hand that he wasn't holding anything with, but they go flying across the room, and he backs up, his back's against the table, and he's looking at you, and he says, "What? What do you want? What do you want?"
Hey, friend. I don't mean you any harm. Promise. But it seems like you've been taking some stuff that doesn't belong to you?
Roll me a persuasion.
Less.
Okay. Who's asking? Who are you?
Uh, well, I'm here on behalf of the Marigard Academy, and Glass over at the Griffin's Bag. He noticed that you were taking some stuff, and he noticed that you weren't taking a lot of stuff. Like you were mostly taking trash. And so I know that I don't think you really mean a whole lot of harm, and I don't think he does either, which is why he didn't get the guard involved. But you know, it's probably not good to take things that don't belong to you, especially if you might get hurt. He was mostly concerned that you were going to get hurt. So I just figured I'd ask what you're doing here, and if we can maybe come to a compromise about how you get your materials.
I'm I'm just trying to. You see that he's considering what you said, and he says, I'm just trying to prove to the clan that I have my abilities too, and I don't have to have wings to be a powerful mage.
Oh, you're a powerful mage. What spells are you trying to cast?
She looks at you, and he says, What do you know about magic?
Well, I know a little bit.
I'm trying to learn Acid Arrow. It has not been going well.
Okay. Well, is that something that maybe a scroll would help you with?
I can't afford a scroll.
How much would a scroll of Acid Arrow be?
50 gold pieces.
50 gold pieces. That's a lot.
Yes. Why do you think I'm doing this the hard way?
Oh, well, yeah, but okay. But you could. You have a lot of ingenuity, friend.
He suddenly narrows his eyes. He's kind of suspicious of you, and he says, Are you patronizing me?
No, I'm really not. I don't know that spell. I don't think I can even learn that spell. But I want to help you learn it.
Okay. Do you have 50 gold pieces?
Well, I don't on me. But I could help you earn it.
And Glass doesn't want to kill me.
No, that's why he hired us.
Roll persuasion.
Fair. That's fair.
$20. The kobold seems to relax, and he says, Most would have just gone to the god.
I think he's smarter and more forgiving than that.
All right. I just needed a vial of fresh acid. That's all I needed. And he reaches into his coat and he pulls it out. He says, I'm sorry I took it. And he holds it out to you.
Well, I'm gonna take this. But look, I can't afford you the whole skull, but I bet you I can afford some fresh acid that won't blow up in your face.
That would be nice.
I can do that. And you know, you're really good at sneaking around, yeah? And you did a whole lot of this on your own. I feel like if you're able to do all of that, you'll be able to earn that gold. Here, I'll even get you started. He'll reach into his pocket. How much gold do I have? I'm gonna hand him 5.
He looks at the 5 gold in his hand, and he looks up at you and he says, You'd give a stranger 5 gold? Just because?
Oh shit! I'm a silent image right now, so I can't do that. But Tam
Oh,
will
yeah.
dismiss the silent image and come forward.
Oh!
Um, I know a little bit about magic, not your kind of magic though. But yeah,
Oh.
you're not doing anyone any harm.
I'm trying not to. I'm trying to earn a place in the clan.
Hey, I know what it's like to earn your place. It's hard, and it's okay to ask for help. I
Okay.
would say you should come to Norgard Academy, but that's real expensive.
I'd love to, but yeah, it's...
Yeah, real expensive.
But
What-
if I prove myself to the clan, they might fund it. So that's...
That's important and good. Well, I hope to see you there. Here, you take this 5 gold. I'm gonna see if I can get you some good acid, and I'm gonna see if I can maybe have Glass knock down the price for you.
What?
Maybe you could.
What's your name?
Oh, I'm Tam.
I'm Turts.
Ernst. Nice to meet you.
He's like looking at the gold in his hand and up at you, and he says, "Nice to meet you too." Suddenly, the tent flap opens wider, and Skolna looks in and says, "Everything fine?" And Turts looks up and goes, "Ah! How many of you are there?" And he's like grasping for the walking stick.
Just the two of us. She's real good at hiding.
How'd you find me?
That was all Skolna. She's good at tracking and hiding and stealth. I just talk to people.
Okay. And Skolna like nods and then pulls her head back out of the tent.
Thanks, Skolna.
You get a pat on the shoulder.
Okay, well, do you want to come back and talk to Glass with us? I promise he's not going to hurt you. I think he might appreciate an apology just coming from your mouth.
Turts looks around the tent. He reaches over and he shuts off the small little fire beneath the vial and says, Oh, yes. All right.
Good man. We'll go back to talk to Glass.
Okay.
I know it's late now, but hopefully
It is
he's
late.
still there.
As you head toward the Griffin's Bag, you're not far from it here. It doesn't take long to get there. And as you walk... hold on a moment here. As you walk, the streets are much less crowded than they were before. But there are more nightly creatures out right now. You walk by a group of Drider having a conversation near the docks themselves. They look like sailors as well. And one of them, a brightly colored Drider with very, very loud pink hair, looks at you and waves and says, "You're a Merigard student!"
I sure am. Are you too?
"No, but I hope to be!"
Oh my gosh, I hope you are too. Your hair is amazing.
"Thanks! I never changed it. This is how it came out." And then the
Love
other
it.
Driders are like, "Come on." Like, they pull him back, and he excitedly waves you past.
I love his energy. I'm gonna run over and give him a high five and give him guidance.
Okay. When he sees you're reaching for a high five, the Drider absolutely will lean down and high five you back. And he says, "You're awesome. I'm going to remember you." And
My name's Tam. Bye.
"I'm Doric!" And you just hear, like, his friends are just like, "Dude, just..." like, they're exasperated at the high energy. You make your way back to the Griffin's Bag. The Griffin's Bag is still open. The lights are on inside, and so it kind of casts out this golden glow as you approach. And you see Glass is washing the window on the outside as you're approaching.
Hey, Glass.
Oh, hello. I heard from Kaylee you may have found some evidence. And he's looking at the kobold.
This is Tunst, right? Tunst?
Turts.
Turts. This is Turts. I'm gonna pat him on the shoulder and give him a bardic inspiration.
Okay. The kobold kind of steps forward and says, I am very sorry that I stole from your store. And Glass looks at you and back at Turts, and he says, You are the one who got past my alarms. Yes? And Turts just kind of nods, and Glass kind of sits on his heels in front of the kobold and says, How? And Turts begins to explain, crawling beneath the floorboard and using it to lift the thread that he saw with his detect magic.
Hannah's gonna look over at him and say, "That's pretty useful information, huh?"
I would say so. I understand you are taking chemicals for use in magic. Before, you had only taken it from the garbage, which I did not really care about. But once you got inside, it was a problem. And Turt says, I know, I really am sorry. Really. And Glass says,
He did a good job with the garbage, though. He did a real good job with it. He's going to hold out the vial.
Glass looks up at the vial and he kind of takes it and looks at it and he says, Oh, you did not get a chance to use it, huh? And Turt says, No, I was still just selling the old stuff. And Glass says, Well, I could use a talented alchemist. Maybe I could offer you a job? And Turts looks at him wide-eyed, and then up at you.
Nodding, very, very excited. See, I told you you can earn that scroll.
Turts says, yeah? Yes! I'll take the job! And Glass says, We'll talk about ours. And he stands up and looks at you and he says, You have done me a service. I did not expect you to find the culprit so quickly and so amicably. So
it was all Skolna. She did all the finding. I just did the talking.
Which do you think was more important?
I think they were both pretty important.
Glass will look over at Skolna and he shrugs and he kind of reaches down and he says, For your aid in this endeavor. He holds his hand out over yours and he drops 20 gold into your hand. Yeah. And then he drops the same amount into Skolna's hand. And he says, Thank you. And I'll remember your aid if you ever need magical components or items and such.
I appreciate it. He's going to turn to his new kobold friend and give him another gold and say, you save up for that scroll.
Turts is like smiling with a full-fanged, toothy smile, and he says, Oh, I'll get it in no time. You'll not be sorry. I'll be the best employee you ever had. And immediately he scampers over and takes the rag and soap from by the window and begins washing the window. And Glass watches him and he says, Okay, that is a good start. The two of you, you have my thanks. I will send my commendations to the Merigard. You have a pleasant night, eh?
Yeah. Thanks so much.
Thank you. And he looks over at Turts. And Skolna kind of like begins to walk toward the Merigard Academy after waving.
He's going to go out to Skolna and put 10 gold in her hand. Half of it is hers.
She got 20 gold already.
Oh, she already 20. It was half and half. Okay, good.
Yeah, you each got 20 gold for that job.
Fabulous.
So Skolna's heading back to the Merigard Academy, and whatever it is that you choose to do, this would be a perfect time to stop the session tonight.
Yeah, it's fair. Yeah.
Thank you for playing with me.
super fun. I literally would not have gotten past the investigation part were I not paired with a rogue.
That's how it works sometimes. You got the dice tell a story, it seems. You rolled Skolna, and she was able to help. So
yes, love it. Love that for me. I also think it's hilarious that he keeps getting paired with people that don't want to talk to him.
it's true. That is very funny. There's not that many of them, so the fact that you got both of them is hilarious. All right. I'll see you next session.
Yeah, thanks. That goes great.
GG.